Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Oftentimes I'm asked, what streaming services do you use? What kind of gear do you use to get the best out of those streaming services? And why do you choose the streaming service and the gear? As an audiophile, I am seeking the best sound quality that replicates accurate, natural, and realistic sound qualities, keeping in mind that I have never heard the original recording, nor was I present in the recording studio. I am seeking for a sound that removes any knowings that I have that I am listening to a recording and actually allows me to imagine that I am there present while it's being recorded. I have listened to many a streaming service and quite a few pieces of gear as far as DACs and amps. I have listened to Tidal, Qobuz, Deezer, Spotify, Amazon HD, YouTube Music, and many others. And I have come to a conclusion that one of them is superior to the others. Does that mean that the other ones aren't any good? Absolutely not. It's just I have a preference for one of them. Then, as far as gear being used, currently I am using the following, and hopefully you can see it here on camera if I lean back far enough. So we have a Mytek Liberty DAC. We have a Socris DAC 1421. We have an SPL Phonitor SE, a Tor Audio Roger. Also, we have down below here, we have a Gishelli Labs Arish and a Gishelli Labs Archel. We also have over here this little red thing on loan from IFI. We have an IFI Audio Diablo. And then the speakers are Monoprice MM5Rs, which are ribbon speaker. There's also a subwoofer down below, which you cannot see, and various other things. Some of the other products that I use are a Sony Walkman NWA105, a Pioneer XTP30R, and then also sometimes you have to use some IE Match and an ear buddy from IFI Audio. Dongles that I use are a NextDrive Spectra X, a X-Duo Link, a Razer DAC amp, and an ADV access port light. All of those get randomly used during my review process. All of them get played through using streaming services and also using local files that I have, which are FLAC, DSD, and MQA. Through the years, I have collected many a CD collection, and I have downloaded all those CDs and converted them to FLAC files. Also, I have purchased many downloads from HD tracks in various form factors, whether they be FLAC, DSD, or MQA. So I have some of that. Now, I do not have the largest local files, I will admit that, but I do have enough in order to be able to hear differences and be able to compare. But the majority of my listening actually is done through a streaming service, even though I do have a decent amount of local files. So, I started off trying all the different streaming services. Deezer I used for a little while, and I just didn't really care for Deezer. It was all right, but it had a compressed sound to it, and it just didn't sound very wide and open. It always sounded stuffy. It didn't matter what the file was, it just didn't sound right. Spotify just didn't have quite had a really nice library, but just didn't have enough of a quality sound to it. It always sounded a little compressed, and it always sounded to be somewhat lackluster in body and had a little bit of tinniness to it. Amazon HD was actually quite good, especially the higher quality stuff, but I found that their library was limited, and I just didn't really care for their UI very much at all. It wasn't a very pleasant service to use, and I just found it to be clunky, and some songs sounded great, some didn't, so I just was very inconsistent. YouTube Music is also very compressed. It doesn't sound very open, just doesn't sound very clean. It just doesn't have a quality sound that I'm looking for. And so that comes to Qobuz and Tidal. And Qobuz and Tidal, to me, are the two that should really be considered if you're looking for an audiophile experience. If you're looking for the best quality sound, Qobuz and Tidal have what is to be offered. And here is my take on Qobuz versus Tidal. To me, every single song, and it does not matter who the artist is, what album it is, what file it is, whether it's low files or high file rates, bit rates, it does not matter. On Qobuz, there's always a brighter, sheeny, glary sound when comparing to Tidal. And it does not matter the source, it does not matter the song, the artist, or any way that is recorded, any of that sort of stuff. There is always a brighter, sheeny glare. And for me, Tidal has a more full sound and loses that bright sheen and glare unless it's present in the track. Now keep in mind, I've never heard the original. I've never sat in the studio while these were being recorded. So I'm not going to claim that that harshness is only revealed on tracks that it's supposed to be, as I never heard the original or ever sat in that studio, okay? But to me, Qobuz sounds harsh and thin on every track. And Tidal doesn't sound that way on every track. To my ears, Tidal sounds more accurate, more natural, whereas Qobuz sounds somewhat artificial. Qobuz sounds like it's being enhanced. And to me, Tidal sounds more accurate, natural, and realistic. Now, does that mean that there is some sort of tomfoolery going on, some type of DSP or some sort of added in things to either one of those services? I have no clue. I have no way. I have no information regarding that. I've searched high and low. I have not been able to find any confirmed information that specifically says that either of those programs and services are using a DSP. All there are out on the interwebs are random assumptions from reviewers and sheeple that say Tidal uses DSP. There is nothing confirmed, written down on paper, specified directly from Tidal or Qobuz that says we do this. It's all assumptions. I'm not playing that game. All I know is that as an audiophile, I am seeking the best sound quality that replicates accurate, natural, realistic sound qualities, and Tidal provides that to my ears. On top of that, I do find that using DACs and amplifiers does not change the audio quality of either. No matter the DAC, no matter the amplifier pairing, I still hear that brighter, sheeny, glary sound from Qobuz. It does not matter what I'm using. Whether it's a dongle or a desktop setup, I always get that same sound on every single song. Tidal sounds the same also. As for using Tidal and Qobuz on desktop or Android device, they both work fantastic. I find that the audio quality does not change no matter what app or web service you're using. I find that the user interface is more pleasing and more friendly on Tidal. I find that the library on both is adequate for my listening experiences. Qobuz is a little clunky on the user interface, harder to search for things, harder to find things, and I find that Tidal's very easy, very simply set up. If you can see my screen here, this is the home page for Tidal. It'll have their featured stuff. It'll tell you what is your recently played. It does a random mix for stuff like that. So whatever you listen to on a regular basis, it's going to compile it and mix it together, and you can just hit play and it'll just randomize songs, throw in some new stuff, give you some old stuff. Then it'll do radio stations based on what you play, what your genres are. It'll suggest new tracks, and since I use Tidal Hi-Fi, it suggests hi-fi tracks. It'll suggest new hi-fi albums. It'll give you popular playlists that are curated by Tidal or by other people. It'll give you MQA authenticated albums. It gives you MQA authenticated playlists. Gives you history. There's all kinds of other things in here. And then over on the left-hand side, it's very simple. You click on it, you see that it says playlists, and it pulls up every single playlist you've ever created. Any album that you have saved is right there. And you can do a search inside each one of these, pull it up so you can find it. You can do how many tracks you have favorited. And you can filter it by all kinds, by the album it's on, by the artist it's on, the date it was added, the time how long the track is, things like that. You can do ascending, descending, all sorts of things. There's ways that you can look up videos if you have saved any of the Tidal videos. And then there is a filter of artists. Every single artist that you have highlighted and saved as a favorite is listed on here. I find it a very easy homepage to look around on. And then you have down below, you have your playing, you fast forward, rewind, pause, and then you have a very quick connect, so you can change your outputs if you have various outputs that you want to connect to. I find that the user interface and the app page of Tidal is very, very simple and easy to use, and the best one available. So, with all that being said, yes, I prefer Tidal. Yes, I use Tidal. If you check out the links down below, there'll be playlists that I use that I highly recommend music. Excuse me, and it has listed on it what I'm looking for in those certain songs. If you're interested in other playlists, hit me up on Discord and I will send you a link to any other playlist. I have tons of playlists for all kinds of things. But there's another aspect to it, and that is synergy with gear. And so I find that you have to have a good source, which is your music, obviously, which is a streaming service, which is Tidal. But then also you have to have gear that plays well with it. And I find that as I have gone through over being a reviewer and hearing other gear, purchasing stuff is important. That's the reason why I have purchased the gear that I have, so that I can do the reviews. Mytek Liberty does MQA, does DSD, plays extremely well with Tidal, and everything just sounds smooth, natural, and realistic. I find that the Mytek Liberty and Tidal is a match made in heaven. I truly enjoy the Mytek Liberty with Tidal. Everything just sounds glorious on it. The Soulcrest DAC 1421, another fantastic DAC. It's an R2R DAC, and it has a slight little lushness to it, adds a little bit of warmth to everything, and it's just smooth and engaging and pairs extremely well with all of my different things. In fact, I have it paired right now with the Tor Audio Roger, and I really enjoy the sound that comes out of the Tor Audio Roger. It's a very engaging tube amp, has good power to it, plays extremely well with my HD 600s, which are my favorite, one of my favorite dynamic headphones. And I just absolutely love the Tor Roger and the Sennheiser HD 600s with a DAC 1421 from Soulcrest as the source, along with Tidal. It just, I can get into that happy space and just disappear. The Mytek Liberty going into the Jashelli Labs Airish gives me a nice balanced output. Sounds extremely well, clean, clear, crisp, energetic. Pairs extremely well with those hard to drive planars, and also just works very well with everything else that has a balanced output or connection. The Mytek going into the SPL Phonitor SE. That is actually my favorite amplifier that I own. The Phonitor SE has a very clean and natural and realistic portrayal of music. Does not add any colorization, and I find that the matrix on it does a great job of giving you a sense of space and realism. And in my opinion, the Phonitor SE is the best sounding, most realistic sounding amplifier that I have heard or reviewed. And that's the reason why I pair it with the Mytek, because I find that the Mytek Liberty is a most natural and realistic sounding DAC. And so it's like a match made in heaven. So Tidal and all the gear that I have, I find it to be my pick for streaming services. I find that Tidal is the best sounding, most realistic, most natural sounding of all of the streaming services, and that it pairs the best with everything that I have. And that's the reason why I pick it, and that's the reason why I use it. I do not understand these arguments and these fights amongst everybody saying which one is better than the other. I do not have any issues with other services being used. If that is what you prefer, go ahead and use it. But to my ears, Tidal sounds the best and offers the best audiophile experience. And again, as an audiophile, I am seeking the best sound quality that replicates accurate, natural, and realistic sound qualities, keeping in mind that I have never heard the original recording or sat in the recording studio. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Speaking of next time, somewhere on the screen is a subscription link and notification bell. If you haven't already, please check those off. And then check out the links down below for information regarding the channel, how you can contact it, how you can follow it, and how you can support it. All kinds of other information down there, recommended gear, links to the stuff that was mentioned today, all kinds of other things. Check out the links down below, and also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.